Hey, good morning to you. Welcome back to the Morning Minute Meditation. Thank you for dropping by to share just a moment of your time with me today. In the book of Romans, chapter number 12 and verse 21, the Bible says this, "And be not overcome of evil, but overcome evil with good." In other words, we're not to respond evil for evil, but we are to be of a forgiving spirit. The reason for that is, if we respond to evil with evil, we wind up creating bitterness in our heart and our life. And that bitterness becomes the poison that destroys the container that holds it. In consideration of that, many years ago, I was preaching out on the road at a revival meeting in a rather large church. I was preaching that evening on the subject of forgiveness. In the middle of this message, there was a woman that went into a violent seizure. As she was seizing, I noticed her rather large, muscular husband get up and he began to deal with her without there being any great fanfare. He got his wife up and settled, and then he exited the building and left. I noted during the entire episode that the church seemingly was unaffected by the seizure. This led me to believe that this was a normal or regular occasion in this woman's life, and so I continued to preach as best I could without bringing any attention to that side of the room. The next day, the pastor said to me, "You noticed the fanfare with the seizure?" I said, Yes, sir." He said, "This happens about every 2 or 3 services with this young lady." I said, "What's causing it?" He said, "She's been to every doctor, and they tell us that there is absolutely nothing wrong with her physically or nothing wrong with her chemically, but rather it is an emotional trauma that has created this. And so her symptoms are psychosomatic on the basis of a psychosis, in other words, an emotional trauma that had taken place in her life. Come to find out, from the time that she was little up into her early adulthood, her dad had been molesting her and abusing her. With all of that, she had grown extremely bitter and angry, and not knowing how to handle it spiritually, she just dealt with it in a human way, and it led to the devastation of her health. Several years later, the pastor called me and he said, "You remember the incident with the girl?" "Yes," I said. He then went on to state that her dad had made a profession of faith and that she had chosen to forgive her dad for the offenses against her, and that everything that she was dealing with in her health healed completely and went away. What an interesting story. Harry Emerson Fosdick made this statement. He said that hatred is like a man who despises being slapped on the back by a particular individual who does it regularly. And so to get back at him, he packs his jacket with dynamite in hopes that the man will slap him on the back. And in so doing, he'll get him, because the dynamite will explode and will destroy the man who is slapping him on the back, not realizing that the explosion is also going to kill him as well. Emerson Fosdick made this statement in his book. He said, "Hating people is like burning down your house to get rid of rats." Hey, think on these things today. There's no doubt someone under the sound of my voice today has had some things that have happened in your life that are unfair and are just flat wrong. Sin has been perpetrated against you. Are you going to go on in bitterness and in unforgiveness? Or are you going to bring yourself great relief spiritually, physically, and emotionally by simply saying, "By the grace of God, I will forgive what has been done to me so that I can go on in victory"? Think on these things today, my beloved. Have yourself a great cup of coffee and a grand day.